How about now? Can you hear me now? Hey, Fugnuts, can you hear me? No audio? Any audio? Audio good. Okay. Now I'm wearing my mic. Well, let's see. Oh, this evening, what are we talking about? We're talking about, I see, you guys, the concept of balkanization. That's when you take the individual spirit and crush it through great pressure into one icky mass. Yep. And I see that going on around. I was lecturing in a university and I was, basically talking what I was normally always talking about. And this was a group of students between the age of 19 and 20. And they were all of a liberal modality, a Nuevo liberal modality. And I was, talking about, love's unconditional love and love's co-creation and, what I normally talk about. And I will read you what I read them, but they they basically complained that they didn't want to hear things that made them feel uncomfortable. And this is what I read them. With no fear, a new beginning. A new beginning. Community action. Whoops, wrong one. That was my community action report. That's what I read the politicians. Now, this is what I read them. So I have about 300 of these white papers. And this one is, when we get back to our life, we see it as one of running as fast as we can away from love's truth. Gil Scott Heron. The sacred science, a shamanic psychosocial forensic anthropologic alchemy. To be awake is to transform. It is not enough that humanity in the first person comes to think or drink when the initiation from love's. It is not enough that humanity in the first person comes to drink when the invitation from love's higher source has gone forth. The adept must transform alchemically their ego into a new skin of service to retain the new wine of love's infinite transformative purpose. Saint Germain, my teacher, Saint Germain. I'm going to let you guys read this because I'm missing so many teeth I can't speak that well. Wise in spiritual alchemy, and wise are they when first master it in themselves before attempting to govern the elements in another or in nature. For thus is karma justified by wisdom and rendered in balance with the light, dark, and chaos of all that is love's co-creation. Again, my teacher, Saint Germain. Love is God. For without love, it is impossible to create matter. It is love's law that without love, nothing cannot create something except empty illusion of a covetous, egocentric, non-existent material reality that is experienced as hell on earth. So what do you think of that? Again, one of my 200 or so of my treatises. And when we come together in the circle, these are the things we will read together and we will parse them out. My 200 or so treatises are the foundation of the development of this alternative aesthetic. We are right now at a opportune moment where we can change, just the handful of us, the 300. We're getting close to the 300. I started this out in mid-October as the 40 days and 40 nights, and we still haven't hit 40 yet. Because when we join together as one cadre, time doesn't exist. When we speak and sing as a chorus, time does not exist. When we go into state, time definitely doesn't exist. The linear time of the shadow time. It's not linear time, it's shadow time. It's not even Miller time. Hill forever consciousness. Yep. And I greet three and the rest of the cadre who will show up to in every day and every way take the peace of the earth and make it stronger. We step forward into this collective consciousness of love's co-creation, and we change. We pop the bubble of illusion of Luciferian fear and hate and anguish, the sense of doubt, self-loathing, and we realize who we are, the children of love's co-creation that exists in conscious of free will. (11 minutes and 11 seconds). Ooh, my mouth is feeling better, but it's still tough to talk. So how is your days? Today, my day, I spent in doctor's offices and car care and talking to people because I'm tying all the loose strings up. I've been involved in a large endeavor to try and bring all the different social networks together to work in love's co-creation. I've spent almost 20 years here in Roanoke, since 1999, trying to do that, and not just Roanoke, but the whole valley. And of all the 600 churches, there's only 3 that really serve the people. The rest, those churches, serve themselves. They're tax-free. And as I spoke to a number of people, I spoke with truth, and they didn't want to hear the truth. It upset them. So I am coming closer and closer to being done with this place. Because, as Freud said, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different outcome, is the definition of insanity. As I told a friend of mine who has been socially active here for a good most of her life, 60 years, and she's truly a noble person. And I said, you got to do, I have 2 rules when I deal with social structures and strategies. If I can't do any good, I won't get involved. And if I can't learn anything from my endeavors, I won't get involved. Those are my 2 major rules. And I'm always will rush into the fray to save people. I'm not in a rude awakening. I'm not expecting anything different from any other place, because wherever you go, there you are. Wherever I go, I'm in the right place. So I go to the next right place. And I stay there until it's not the right place anymore. I don't expect any outcomes whatsoever. What did I just say about a minute and a half ago? There's 2 rules that I run by. There's a 3rd rule. But the first rule is, if I can't do any good, I don't get involved. If I can't learn anything, I don't get involved. And the 3rd rule is, if there is not a completion strategy, meaning an end of the event, I don't get involved. If I can't tie all the strings up and leave it and go, okay, all done here, well, I don't get involved. Those are my 3 rules. And they've served me well over the last 30 years, since 1988. Because up until 1988, I was real good at keeping as many plates in the air as I could. and getting lots of different things together. See, being an electrician, one of the things that's interesting about being an electrician, we're the first to show up and the last to leave, right? We're there to demo out the old electric stuff, put up temporary, and then people come in and build walls and put plumbing pipes in and all the rest, and then we put our wires, our boxes, and then the sheetrocks and plasters and painters come in, and we're the last to go because we put in the duplex, the switches, the light fixtures, the covers, and then it's undone. So we're the first to show up and we're the last to leave. And we're always the maestro. We are always, no one wants to screw with electricity. Always, everyone needs electricity, right? And I, as a electrical contractor, why the general contractors used to really love me is because I made sure everybody else did their job well, so mine would be easier, right? And I would never boss people around. I would just give them the 411 and say, look at that. And they go, oh, wow, I didn't see that. And that's why general contractors loved me and paid me whatever I wanted, because I would make their job exquisite. And pretty much wherever I go, I make the job exquisite. Mostly people don't even see my presence. It's like electric. All you see is the outlet, the switch, the light fixture. You don't see all the magic behind the wall. And that's why I like being an electrician. Exactly. That's why I'm still here when I'm no longer in the right place. Good morning, buddy. I hope you had a good sleep and it's a beautiful day where you are. It was 71 degrees today in Virginia. And what was interesting about Virginia, the governor, the vice governor, and the attorney general are all going to have to resign because of their racist, sexist. You know, Virginia is probably the most racist state in the union, and and our capital, Washington D.C., is right here, so it kind of says pretty much what it is. And what people had to realize, and I was talking to a number of friends today who were involved in those issues, and that race and sexism, gender inequality, sex inequality, race inequality, all of these things are human inequality. And they're manufactured by the Ponzi scam of the pyramid powers that shouldn't be, because the only way that 1/10 of 1% that can rule is by keeping everyone at each other's throats. Where we should be able to get along, no problem. Men and women are designed, genetically engineered to get along, to be kind of, enticed by each other, and to be sweet on each other, not to be mean to each other. It's the powers that shouldn't be that manifest this. And this new aesthetic that I'm looking to manifest is the thing that I want the cadre to work on, right? And wherever you are, we don't have to be together. We are together, so say we all, just by our hearts, right? And what we have to overcome is hell's enterprise on earth. Now, I have written a number of white papers, and I'm started out reading the first page of this one, right? And it's called The Sacred Science, right? I'm just going to let you read it. Well, most things that are interesting or seemingly, that's I can grok that. Has a lot of relative similarities, and that's what comes from being a human being. wrote this in 2009 and typed it up in 2015. And I had been working on it. Ooh, where's that button? I had been working on it since 1976 when I met my guardian angel, Gabriel, when he drove me home in his taxi cab. Yeah, black in the heart as quick as a triple bypass. I like that. So I got lots of those things, and they're all pretty much they're all different. They're all about different things, but they're all about the same thing. And, people read them, people like them, people, say, you go fix it. I can't fix it. I used to be Mr. Fix-It, but I can't fix it. It's a deeper picture than that. Yes, go to my xratted.blogspot.com, see my novels. And they're more, I mean, these are treatises, so they're kind of straight up, they're right out. They are what it is. Whereas my novels are like, I don't want to say that I'm a Melville or James Joyce, but I'm more like a Melville James Joyce on acid. But I keep saying the window of opportunity is open, and it's going to take a cadre to do something interesting, and it'll be fun, And I know that all of you have lives, and you're all in places all over the planet. So all I can do is call you to step forward and be the leader in your neighborhood and start, something, a salon, a coffee shop, a group, hiking, a book club, whatever. But put together your own cadre, your own clan. This is the cadre. You need to start your own clan. And you've come to this cadre to get a little tutelage from your Sensei Al Bob and support. We're all here, so say we all, to support each other. And we're here to make a difference, to be that pebble in the pond, to bring the tsunami of love forward. So say we all. Anyway, so tell me how your days were. So research, have you made it back to the glorious state? Or are you still down in Florida? Because it was 70-something here today in Virginia. And, the basic population is just being played. And, yeah, the weather's great for this. Like I said, it was in the 70s here. Pretty amazing. And Tuesday when they ripped the teeth out of my head, I just sat, before they did it, I sat on a bench and meditated. And then when I was ready, I went in and they ripped 3 teeth out of my head. And then I went back to that bench and I meditated for another hour and then went on my way. And I went back to the dentist just to make sure everything was going right. They said, oh, it looks great. So, it's healing the way it should. High anxiety. Buddy, did you ever see that movie by, what's his name? The guy who did Young Frankenstein and Blazing Saddles. He made a movie called High Anxiety. And I think Blazing Saddles and Django were the two greatest films for racial harmony that I'd ever seen. Mel Brooks, that's the guy. Mel Brooks, young Dr. Frankenstein was a beyond classic. Frau Blucher. uh, anyway, like I said, I think it's time for everyone to start a party in their neighborhood. Get a crowd together, start talking. Tell people about Sensei Al Bob. Have them come to the channel, read. I'm pushing almost 300 shows. Putting on the Ritz, yes. Yep. And Blazing Saddle was great because it showed the stupidity of racism, right? And also, the last scene is they had this gigantic traditional bar fight in the town, and it breaks out of the bar and goes into other sets. It goes into a Busby Berkeley set where all these gay guys are tap dancing down, a staircase into Stardust, and then it breaks into Nazis, and then breaks into, Jesus Christ. It's just unbelievable. Mel Brooks is just unbelievable, and he's still alive. What do you mean you can't do it around there? There are no fun people there. Nobody wants to dance. Nobody makes music. No. Well, the best thing to get people to not freak out is to have a freaking good time. I'll tell you a really good story about freaking out and people insulated. So, I spent a good 30 years hanging out at universities. And most of the universities I hung out, Scottish, okay, say no more, were schools like Cornell and Duke and UNC at Chapel Hill, Harvard, MIT. And these were grind schools. I mean, these are people who were like there to their career. John Hopkins. So I was at Duke, right? And I was playing around with these guys who were into the paranormal. They were the people they were run by DARPA. It was this entity called the SEAL Corporation. And they were they were all Nazis, and they were paid by DARPA to create a super soldier, something straight out of Captain America and Red Skull, right? And because I had a girlfriend who was their numero uno neurobiologist, and then she introduced me to the head Nazi, and I told him what I was into and who I came from, and he knew all of those people. And I said, I've been working on building these real high-tech sensory deprivation tanks. And he said, whatever you need, how much it ever costs, I got a blank checkbook. Hey, when everyone says, I'll give you as much money as you want to do what you want to do at this minute, and give you everything you ever wanted to. I mean, buddy, talk about drugs. These guys had drugs like you could not believe. Sandoz special, right? So, and my girlfriend just loved this stuff. And so, for 4 months, I was hanging out there. So, spring, the big tests were coming, and Duke is the most one of the most grind schools you've ever seen. So, they had their finals, and they had another, 4 weeks before the end of school and the graduation of the seniors. But pretty much everything was done. I mean, people had to write their theses and their papers and all of that kind of stuff. And I made, that thing I just read you, I made some serious buck writing people their papers. you know, like that, because people, they would turn into their professors, and the professors would like go gaga over that kind of writing. Yes, they'd have to correct the spelling and the grammar and the this and the that, but the ideas were like, woo. And this is before people knew that people cheated like that. Anyway, so I was having a great time. I was I had total access to whatever technology I wanted. I had total access to whatever else I wanted, and as much money as I wanted. And I had a really brainiac, hot girlfriend, and I was the first boyfriend who satisfied her, because all the other males that she ever met were scared of her. And I met a woman today who was that. She was the dentist who looked at my tooth. And she goes, "Oh, I hear you read palms." And I read her palm. And man, when I read people's palms, I can't lie. So bang, I hit her straight between the eyes. Cold readings, I knock people over. Hunka hunka, hubba hubba, exactly. Hunka hunka, hubba hubba. And I told this doctor about what was going on, and she was like, "Ah." And that hunka hunka, hubba hubba girlfriend I had, she had that same thing. She hated men until she met me. And I said, "Baby, all those guys are just morons. Forget about them. Just don't let them bother you. Just right over your head. Just don't worry about it." And I should have said that to the doctor I saw today, but I just kind of told her the truth, and she almost started to cry, which was just kind of like what happened when I lectured at that college a while back, and the people wanted to string me up because I told them the truth. They don't want to hear it. So, buddy, I understand what you're talking about. But there I was, 1968, and my friends from prep school were part of this fraternity. And if I wasn't at my girlfriend's room, suite, because she was a grad student, she actually had a very nice place at Duke, an apartment. But I knew when to give her space, and I would go over to my buddies who had the sorority, and those guys made Animal House look like they were conservative. So anyway, everyone had to take their test. Pretty much, they were just hanging out, getting drunk, having parties. And I said, we really need to have a party to celebrate this. And they said, what do you mean? I said, well, it's fine us being debauched in this one, but I mean, we need to bring all of Duke University and all of UNC Chapel Hill, which was like our cousin. They were over there. They were the rivals in certain sports, but they were more cousins. I mean, everyone hung out. I said, let's have one gigantic party where everyone comes together and just let's go. Because both these schools were grind schools. Everybody was about, because they were all going on to law school or medical school or grad school or some others, this was just their first step. And they said, well, nobody will. I said, no, we're going to have a killer party. How we do that? I said, well, I work in rock and roll. I'm going to call up a few friends. So I called up a producer friend of mine who was producing large stadium type of events, like the beginning, the late 60s, early 70s. He put on events where, there'd be like 12 to 30,000 people show up, depending the venue. And so he had pretty good shows. And so he was taking on tour the Allman Brothers, the Grateful Dead, Crosby, Stills, and Nash. Who else? Santana. And the Who came in and out depending on what they were doing. Anyway, I called them up and said, hey, what are you doing on this date or between this date and this date here in Durham, North Carolina, where Duke is? And he goes, well, actually, we're going to go from here to there, and we're going to come right through your neighborhood on this weekend. And I said, great. How would you like to show up and do a show? And, we'll put you up in a really nice place. We'll have a really great time. And we will, and we'll pay you a lot of money, I don't know if it'll be as much, but it'll be, it won't cost you any money. You won't have to put up the big show. We'll have the stage, just drop your amplifiers, and we'll do it. What do you think? And he said, yeah, we can do that. So I go back to my brethren, and because I'm not just buddies with those guys, but with other fraternities and the folks I had buddies at UNC, Chapel Hill. So we all come together and we have a kind of toga party planning strategy meeting. And we decide to have this party called Joe College Weekend. Now, if you go Google that, it will appear because this this event, which was just like out of my mind, was gonna be a one-time event. So they show up, we set up. I've already got the stage together in the middle of their quad and have other little stages like in their gymnasium and in a couple other places so other bands could be playing. And the guy who was doing the super soldier thing is Sandoz. He brought 8 zillion hits in and just hosed everyone down. And so there was close to 60,000 young people at this event, and it went a whole week. And it was called Joe College Weekend. Anyone who's got their laptop out, go Google, Joe College Weekend at Duke University, early 70s, right? And that was this event. And everyone was stressed out of their minds. And then the band showed up and just started playing in the quad. There were no tickets. And people just, we advertised, we put posters up everywhere. And we had about 60,000 people show up. And everyone shared their everything. And by the first 6 hours of the event, people were like on another planet. It was warm. Everyone took their clothes off and everyone was 60,000 people were having sex and having a great time. And they had so much pent up energy that they were like totally off the hook. And this is kind of event that, there was the war in Vietnam. There was racial issues. There were gender issues. There were every kind of issue on these campus known to man, political, and everyone dropped their tribalness of their little factions and became one gigantic, amazing uber blitz of love and sex, drugs, and rock and roll. This is, I think, where that term was invented. So any of you 9, go online right now and Google Joe College Weekend, Duke University / Chapel Hill. And that thing was so off the hook that it went on for another 12 years, right? And I was like the Johnny Appleseed, I guess, let's do this. Right. It's like the past and the future are the same. No matter where you are, that's what, no matter where you go, there you are. Really, we can do anything. And we don't almost, wherever any one of you guys are, whatever. And that's why I love the cadre, because it's all over the planet. It's not just in one place. It's not like you're all here or at the Deep Green. And you're all invited. Whoever can get there I'm going to be getting there around May. I'll be there from May to October. And yes, pretty much I'm like the Forrest Gump of amazement, But see, the thing is, there are a lot of other, that's like the Mandela effect. There are other versions of me doing the same thing all over the place, right? I bumped into them. I'm like Doctor Who without the TARDIS, You guys are my TARDIS, And I can't even pronounce it because I only have 6 teeth left in my head. There's certain consonants. I try to say certain words and all I do is whistle. Ow. Almost Gabby Hayes. So if you go Google that, and that came out of nothing, just out of, it was like the 70s show. we were sitting in the common room of this fraternity, totally blasted. And I said, and everybody was, not everyone was finished with their terms papers and their exams, but they were going to be soon. And I said, and I'd been there from, the fall finals. I showed up there around October, and I left when school closed in May. It was time for me to go to keep on ahead of the man looking for me. And so, and I had this great sense of taking, because I had these limited windows of accomplishing things, that I would always go for the gusto. Never worry about it. Never, the only thing, never hurt anyone, never, never hurt someone's feelings. I may upset people because I tell them the truth, and that's different. When you hurt someone's feelings, what you're doing is trying to be mean to them. Never am I ever mean to anyone, right? I can get frustrated. I can, grit my teeth, but normally I just walk away and go hug a tree or something, or take a bite out of it. Like giving a hickey to a tree. That's a good stress reducer. But mostly I try to create art and culture and theater and any films and photographs and things like this. Why am I doing the YouTube? Because I am the artist in the first person, the savage. I'm not making out with it. Hey, never put it down unless you try it, Bark rash. Yep, exactly. Oh man, I was a lineman, and I talk about bark rash. There's this thing where when you put your boots, your spikes into a pole, and for some reason they don't take, you can zoom down that pole, and do you get splinters, and those splinters are gigantic, and they're covered in stuff that will turn, and your arm turns into one gigantic infection. I did that once and never did that again. Talk about bark rash. You have a tree fetish? Like I said, don't question unless you try it out. So if we did little versions of that everywhere we are, and like what, buddy, wherever you are, yes, okay, I lived in Scotland. I know exactly what you're talking about, but Scottish folks can be next to Germans, I think the Scottish are the biggest party animals I ever had. Usually they have to be outside their genetic, where they were born. They are a little conservative in that neighborhood where, they've been for the last 10 generations. But once they get out of that, they're pretty wild, crazy people, Anyway, so, and Cornell was a very similar place, but those people, they were way less diverse. The folks at UNC, Chapel Hill, and Duke, they were more diverse. The guys at Cornell were really beyond white, right? Whereas Cornell and Duke and Chapel Hill, when I was there anyway, was pretty diverse. A lot of different people from all over the place, and not all the same socioeconomic group. And Cornell, pretty much everyone was there. As an engineer. Cornell's very much an engineering school. They got everything else, but it's always constructed as a engineering endeavor. I was a social scientist there, and I was put down as a engineering Borkula. Yes, I can't pronounce that. I need certain teeth to pronounce that correctly. Basically, I'm seeing it as Mount Barcalanger. Count Dracula. Well, he was a party guy. Wasn't he also known as, didn't he put people on spikes, leave them, his whole driveway was, lined with corpses on pikes. He was a real fun kind of guy. Anyway, Vladley and Player. That's the guy I was thinking of. Vladley and see, I can't even say implayer. Imply, no. Impaler. Propeller. I can't even pronounce it. Pole dancing. Yes. Pole dancing parties. Okay. Oh, we're coming up on 55 minutes and 55 seconds. Everyone take a breath in now. Come on, breathe in, in, 55, 49, 50, 55, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55. That synchronistic moment. Can you feel it, kids? Yeah, related to the Windsors. Yeah. Prince Philip, boy, that guy is one sick fuck. He's a Nazi beyond Nazi. Elizabeth marries her. His whole family are friggin' Nazis. He went to a Nazi prep school in Germany, and he comes to England and marries the Queen. That's the way it should be. Philip said when he wants to come back reincarnated as a virus to kill half of humanity. Yeah, they're not even British. I don't know if they're even human. I mean, they're such a low life creature. They're not even reptiles. Some of my best friends are reptiles. Reptilian overlords. Yeah. Yeah. Edward was a total Nazi. I mean, history is so kept away from the masses. People, go read Howard Zinn's American History. But we need to write a new version, one based on love's co-creation, not this illusion of lacking, separation, you know. Cornell was such an opposite from Duke, and well, it was different times. I was at Duke and UNC Chapel Hill, 68 to 70, and I was at Cornell in 88 to 91. Totally different time. The list goes on. Yep. I mean, the way they killed Diana. Those people are sacrifices. John Lennon, Prince, Diana. The list goes on. Yep. Yeah, Duke is it was just a blast because they had amazing scholarly things going on there, really great professors, great administration, and amazing students. That's what makes the most important thing of a of a teaching experience is the student body. And the student bodies that I've been visiting are so bourgeois. It's sad. But, I've been around long enough to see the ebb and the flow, 50s and 60s were interesting times. But from 68 to 74, it was an ebb. And then it kind of got more interesting, 75 up to around 82 was pretty interesting. And then there was another, ebb. And then it flowed in again, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, and then it started to ebb. And it just kept ebbing. We're in a big ebb right now. So it's time for a new influx. That's the interesting thing. When it seems to be the most boring, the most darkest, the more like the 50s, with Senator Moron Boy and Donnie Chump's boyfriend, Mr. Cohen, my teeth are starting to hurt. It's interesting how pain during the day when I'm doing stuff and I meditate 4 or 5 times a day, I've done hurt. But now when I'm just sitting here talking, it's it's going like that, pulls on certain things, and it hurts my teeth. So here it is, 10202. So why don't we go into state? Okay. So everyone get comfy. Oh, I'm feeling better and better. Okay, so I'm going to turn the lights down. Everyone get into a comfy spot. Okay. One, your deep state of relaxation, your conscious mind totally focused on your breath. As you breathe in that 20%, breathe out that 30. The prana is going through your body, energizing every cell. You illuminate yourself by bringing in the prana and grounding yourself off in your chi. See clearly. I'm going to be quiet for a moment or two. And you guys are going to go into state. All on your own. I said I'm going to be quiet now and leave you to go into state all on your own. Can you read my lips? I'm going to leave you to go into state all on your own. And one, your conscious mind is totally focused on your breath. You're going deeper and deeper and deeper into your state of conscious awareness. You've illuminated yourself with your breath and the energizing of the prana of your body. And you've taken that energy of your mitochondria and illuminated your imaginary mirror. And you've taken that light that does not shine a shadow. And you've illuminated your subconscious mind, and you see that it's not a scary place, but it is the sanctuary of your library of your Akashic record. See it clearly. And you're walking into your library, and in front of you is the big fireplace of the fire of the eternal flame. And in front of it are these chairs for your visitors, nice comfy leather easy chairs. And then in front of that is your reading table with the photonic light that shines no shadows. And then you have a reading chair behind it. And to the left is your librarian, your animal totem, and your guardian angel. You sit down, your librarian brings you your Akashic record. You open up to a blank page. You take your right hand and you put it on the right page. Oh, man. Gang, my battery didn't plug my phone in. So, I'm going to plug it in, and I may disappear. If I do, I'm going to try and reboot myself and come back. And if not, you guys have a great evening. Okay. Everything looks good. Nobody's going away. Did get a little wanky here. Hold on. Okay, I think I'm still here. Am I back? Am I online? Did I get reconnected? Yep, I'm back. Okay. But everybody's plugged in. You should be fine. Well, guys, I think I'm okay. Again, my dentist told me that it would take me at least a month to feel better, and I will incrementally feel better. But right now, I'm going to go to sleep.